Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I'm a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you could do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. And feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them and I do my best to try to respond in a timely manner. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about the Beatles Capital U.S. albums. I did a part 1 of this that focused on 1964 releases, the prior video. Now I'm going to do part 2, and this is from 65 through 67. So the Beatles were released in the United Kingdom. Their record label was EMI, and they were on the Parlophone label there. Here in the States, the sister company was Capitol Records. So anytime there'd be a new release coming out in 63, they would go to Capitol and they say, hey, we have, new music from the Beatles. Will you release it? And they always said no. They don't feel that that would appeal to the Americans, to that market. So what EMI did is they reached out to a company called Vee-Jay. It was a smaller company, a Midwest company, and they had the rights to the first UK album, Please Please Me, and then there were some other songs that were released on Toily, a subsidy of Vee-Jay, and then on Swan Records, some 45s. Swan was a separate company, the Swan label. So let's start out with the first record. But what I wanted to show you this, because this is going to tie into the next release. This was the first record that was released here in the States. This is on Vee-Jay, and it's called Introducing the Beatles. Okay? And it has 12 songs that were from Please Please Me. Okay. Finally, by the late 64, they lost the rights to the Beatles' music to carry it, and March of 1965 saw the early release, which basically was that album. Now, this album didn't really do too well, considering it got up to Billboard on like number 43. All these other albums I'm talking about were like number 1 and number 2. This one didn't fare as well. There was very little advertising for it. And I think basically because this one sold so many million copies, everybody had this. That would be my only guess. But anyway, this is the early Beatles. It's got the cover from Beatles for Sale on it. And this features 11 songs from Please Please Me. It's missing it's missing I Saw Her Standing There. And that was put on Meet the Beatles here in the States. And then it was also missing Misery and There's a Place. Those two songs would later appear on the 1980 Capitol album called Rarities. Okay, the next one, this was June of 65. It's called Beatles 6. And this and Beatles 65 were two early albums that got me into the Beatles, other than radio. I had watched a movie called Birth of the Beatles and was really intrigued by it. I asked my mom if we had any records. This one and Beatles 65 were the two that we had. So pretty cool. This one and that are very near and dear to my heart for that reason. So this features You Like Me Too Much and Tell Me What You See, which would be from the forthcoming Help album. It features Bad Boy and Dizzy Miss Lizzy, which were Larry Williams covers. Bad Boy was recorded specifically for this album, which is a new one, right? A U.S. release. And Dizzy Miss Lizzy was on here too. Dizzy Miss Lizzy would later be put on Help in the United Kingdom, so it was an early preview here. You also have the rest pretty much songs from Beatles for Sale. You've got Yes It Is on here. You've got 8 Days a Week, which was a wonderful single. Alright, then this is August of 65, and this is the Beatles Help soundtrack. So I believe you have 7 songs from Help on here, and then the rest are instrumentals. And not by George Martin, but by Ken Thorne. He did the instrumental on here, but this is soundtrack music, okay? Pretty cool. I like it. What I like best about this is Help when you listen to Help, the intro, you hear orchestration of the James Bond theme just a little bit at the beginning, and then it goes into Help. And I just thought that's always the way it was. I had the cassette of it. It's the back. And this was apparently $1 more because it had a gatefold. So it was a little more expensive to make. But it didn't stop it from going to the top of the charts. All right, and then finally, December 65, we have Rubber Soul. Rubber Soul has, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Has 12 songs on here. 2 of the songs, though, are from Help. It's Only Love, and I've Just Seen a Face. So that's pretty interesting, but the rest looks like it's all from the UK album Rubber Soul. It was a good album. This is how I grew up with it. Some people say it's more configured like a folk album, as much as that could be, with songs like It's Only Love on there, and, you know, I've Just Seen a Face, Norwegian Wood. You know, there was a big movement here for a while with Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and the Byrds, to name a few, that had that folky sound. But it's a great album just the same. Okay, and let me show you, I haven't shown you any of these, but all of these have the rainbow on them, okay? So this is the Capitol Records look from that period. This would be from up through 67. And then this was one of the sleeves. This would be a sleeve that would be from the 65 era. Okay. All right. So now we go to we go to June of 66 with the Beatles Yesterday and Today. This was a total, another one of those created by, you know, Dave Dexter and company, putting out albums where they just compiled things. Dave Dexter was known to put reverb on the songs, the earlier Beatles stuff. But here's another one, and I think Dave also was involved in this one, but I know he did Beatles 6 and the stuff before that. Yesterday and Today, wow, talk about butchering them, right? I mean, what do you have here? You have 11 songs. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have 11 songs. So here's what you got. You've got stuff from Rubber Soul. You've got stuff from Help, Yesterday and Today. I'm sorry, Yesterday and Act Naturally, which were from Help. You've got some singles. You've got Day Tripper on there. What Goes On, that was from Rubber Soul, If I Needed Someone. The Revolver songs are interesting. 3 John Lennon ones. And Your Bird Can Sing, I'm Only Sleeping, and Dr. Robert. So that was a sneak peek, because that album didn't come out until August in the United Kingdom. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, this is the trunk cover. This is the second version of it. Originally, this is a counterfeit, but originally it looked like this. And this is referred to as the butcher cover, because they are basically having doll parts, and they have raw meat on them. And John Lennon, I believe, might have said, you know, they were butchering, you know, our albums there. They just totally created new packages. We had no idea, you know, what they were. We were just lost with them. So what happened was there were about 60,000 of these that were printed, and within a week or so after they were released, they recalled them. So this was recalled and later slapped this cover on it. And sometimes, if you could see his V-neck, you can see his V-neck right there. If it's a butcher, you got to look carefully. So there are different pressings out there, and if you do have a butcher cover, it is worth money. And it is fun to kind of just go out in the wild and take a look at it. Alright, so now what do we have here? I think this is August of 66. So this is Revolver. But this is not the Revolver that we know and love. Okay? So this is the one, Revolver, minus the 3 songs that are on Yesterday and Today. So you have 11 songs on here. Okay, and let me show you, I should have, yeah. So this is the era, the sleeve from that era. The inner sleeve, marketing other Capitol artists. Capitol 66. Okay, and still the rainbow, which I love. Let's go to 1967. Now we have, by 1967, the Beatles had won their artistic control for how the packaging was and the music would be, so it was released the way it was in the United Kingdom. This is actually a mono pressing here, and it looks like the UK press, which is nice. And they've got the lyrics on the back. They've got a little insert in here, and then they also have the gatefold. All right, later on in 1967, I think it was November, December, they came out with Magical Mystery Tour. Now, in the United Kingdom, they came out with this EP. This EP had, let's see, how many songs are on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had 6 songs on here. Okay, so they had EPs, like little records in there, and it was kind of a hassle, you know? So, little booklet, it was a nice package. In the United States, EPs didn't really do well. So, what they did is they released it on a normal record. By 1976, this became canon. This was where the UK decided to stop making the EP, and they also started making it like this, and this is the official way that this album is presented now. I don't have a mono version of it. This is a stereo, but this will give you an idea for, you know, visual purposes. So you have all the songs here from the EP, and then here are the standalone singles or the B-sides that might have been on there that are on there now on the second half, on the B-side, which is great. So you have that. You got another gatefold, and you have a little booklet also, which is pretty cool. Different pages, pictures, and that's from the soundtrack. Okay. So I wanted to show you next other releases that came out. I believe it was 04 and 06. They came out with these. They came out with, this is the Beatles Capitol Albums Volume 1. And this was the stuff, the Capitol, the 64 albums. And then I have an open copy of number 2, and this was the 65. What I like about these is these are the Dave Dexter mixes, mono and stereo. This is the way that we would have heard them on our releases here in America. Inside, you open it up, you got this. And you got a little book here, and then you have little miniature albums which have the stereo and the mono as presented how they were back in the day, which is great. This one's not in a gatefold though, that's kind of funny. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is a little more controversial, but it's this one. The Beatles U.S. albums. These are Capitol, and 13 original U.S. albums presented in both mono and stereo, replica miniature LP packaging. I think this was 2014 if I'm not mistaken. It's a nice package. It's done very well, except I think it takes the 2009 versions, mixes, and not the originals. So in that case, kind of cheated us on that. Well, I hope that everybody that celebrated it here in the States enjoyed their Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving Day weekend, and thanks for watching my video. Okay? Take care. Bye.